To all of you and welcome to the next session. Asmad Guru Paramparaye Namaha. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Paramindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarota Nirakaranastu Anirakaranam Mestu Tadatmani Nirate Upanishadsu Dharmaste Mai Santu Te Mai Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We had started looking at the means to liberation as established in the Vishistadvaitic system of philosophy. In that, mainly for liberation, Bhakti Yoga and Prapatti are the two means, direct means to liberation. Bhakti Yoga has Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga as accessories. Prapatti has 5 different accessories: lack of capability, knowledge, adhikara, etc. These are all accessories to Prapatti, which we will talk about later. In that, we are talking about the Karma Yoga to start with. What is Karma Yoga? Trying to understand the nature of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga has many aspects. This is just to summarize a little bit. We understood that there are many kinds of karmas that one does. There are some prescribed means, prescribed karmas that we have to do, ordained duties for everyone as per the Vedas. And there are some occasional ordained duties, naimittika karmas they are called, nitya karmas. These two generally don't have any fruits. So they have to be performed because it is told in the Shastra. Kamya karmas are always associated with some fruit, like Swarga, Rayus, long life or health, etc. A person who is interested in attaining liberation will not do kamya karmas. For some reason, maybe social obligation or a well-known person to guide others to perform karmas so that they don't stray away from the Shastras. Those who are not interested in liberation but other fruits, in order to guide them, he may perform kamya karmas also, but that time he will perform them without desire in the fruits mentioned there. And there are nishiddha karmas which are prohibited by Shastra, which you are not supposed to do. The kamya karmas, if a person after liberation performs with the fruit in mind, then he will have to experience the fruit and then it will again bind the person into samsara, in the samsara. Nishiddha karmas, if we perform, it will be a transgression of the Shastra, so it will lead to punishment. We will accumulate sin because of that. Nitya naimittika karmas, if we don't perform also, we will be accumulating sin. So these are the kinds of karmas that are there, prescribed in the Shastra. And now, Karma Yoga is a particular type of means that is prescribed, where we are doing all these Nitya Naimittika karmas, and we don't do Nishiddha karmas. And then we have to do also some other karma. Whatever karmas we are doing, we do it with the intention should be, it is done as a worship of the Lord. I am not the actual doer of this karma. With this thinking, though I am doing it, I should think that I am not the doer. This karma does not belong to me. So we have to give up ownership, fruits, and agency, kartrutva. All these 3 things have to be given up. So that is just a mental process. We have to think like that. When it is done this way, it becomes nishkama karma. That is, acts that are performed without desire in the benefits, and it will not bind one in the samsara. If we do karmas with a desire in fruits, the fruits will come and we have to experience, and we are doing because we want those fruits, and we will have to experience. For that, we may get more births and we will be in samsara. So, that is what it is told, that we have to give up agency, fruits, and the ownership of the karmas that we are performing. When we are actually doing it, how can I give up the doership, agency? Is a question. And there are two aspects in that. One is the first level. We have to think that these karmas we are doing because of the association with Prakriti, matter, this body and sense organs and all that. Secondly, in our real original state, the Jivatma, individual self, who is a spiritual entity does not have hunger, desire, hunger and thirst and death and birth and all that. That we are experiencing only because of the association with matter. And all these, the Jivatma is subservient to the Lord. So a servant has to serve the master and to please the master only. That is the only purpose why a true servant does any work, to please the master. So that is told in this sloka, Mayi sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashihi nirmamaha bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. Sarvani karmani sanyasya, all acts you offer to me, means it is kartritva tyaga, giving up agency. Nirashihi means without the desire in the fruits. Nirmamaha means without the thought that it belongs to me, that is giving up the ownership. So for this, all the acharyas agree, this is how karmas have to be performed to escape the samsara. Surrendering all actions with a mind centered on the self, adhyatma chetasa. If we understand that by studying the Vedanta, Shastras, that Paramatman is the inner self of all beings, with the thought in mind that he is the inner self, he is guiding me, he is controlling me, he is supporting me in everything. So all that I do is to please him, and he is getting it done through me, and things like that. That is what is told here. Krishna is telling Arjuna that is only. He is telling, surrendering all actions unto me, the Supreme Lord, who is the indwelling self of all beings, being free from expectation, free from possessiveness, and free from mental agitation, perform all the enjoined duties. Yuddha is told here because Arjuna, being a Kshatriya, it is his Varnashrama dharma. Reflecting like this, the Supreme Person, Lord of all, the inner ruler of all, to whom everything belongs and who is the master of all, himself causes his own actions to be performed through me, the individual self, as the agent, through many faculties as instruments, our various sense organs and all that, solely for his worship. If we perform karmas like this, it does not bind us into the samsara. This is told as told in Bhagavad Gita, which is also told in Upanishads and all that. Bhagavad Gita is actually explaining in more detail what is told in the Upanishads. The same explanation is given by other acharyas also. Fixing all actions in me, the Supreme Lord, Shankaracharya says, and offering all actions unto me with a discriminative and spiritual understanding that I am the doer only as a servant of the Lord. I perform these actions for God, just as a servant acts for his master. Things like that, free from expectation and all those things. This is common to all performing karma yoga, karmas in this way. If you want to escape this cycle of birth and death, karmas have to be performed like this. Now the question is, how can I perform like this? I am only performing. How can I say I am offering my doership or agency to Paramatma? That's where here the main aspects we have to keep. Jivatma is different and distinct from Prakriti. We have to have this understanding that the association is matter is making me do all these karmas. In my real state, original state, I don't have all this because of the karmas that I have done in the past. I have to experience the fruits of those karmas. To experience the fruit, God has given me this body and sense organs and all that. And because of this association, I am doing these karmas. In reality, in my real nature, these are all not associated with me. He is the thinking. Because in his natural state, he is untouched by these karmas, the form of punya, papa, and all that. He also has doership in his natural state. That is performing service to the Lord only. Not this kind of work that we do here, eating, sleeping, and all those things are not there for a spiritual entity. It is there because of association with matter. So association with Prakriti is the main cause of ego, selfish tendencies. We tend to think body is the self. So that I doesn't go. It's very difficult because whatever anybody says, I am not the one. I didn't do this. I have done this. Like this thought always keeps coming to us every second in a day. But if we really think, the body is different from the self, so it is not in its real nature. So the qualities of the matter, sattva, rajas, and tamas, are the main cause of these such tendencies. So we need to realize that and then give up. So if we examine the nature of the Jivatman has, sorry, some slide I had. I forgot. 1 minute. One of the earlier slides, I had put the nature of the Jivatman. I just wanted to go through that once again. I'll just open that. Yeah, this is slide. So the nature of the Jivatman is this. He is different from Deha, Indriya, Manaha, Prana, Dhipyaha, Anyaha, Ananya Sadhanaha. Is different from body, different from senses, different from mind, different from vital air, buddhi. All this is different because we can experience it ourselves directly. We keep telling this my body, my eye, my ear, etc., my mind, my prana, my buddhi. Like that we keep telling my knowledge. I don't have knowledge in this matter. I have acquired knowledge. That means I have acquired knowledge means that knowledge is different from me. So all this we come to know by experience itself. So Jivatma is very different compared to all this. So if we understand that, we can actually do karmas as required. That is, and this karma yoga has to be performed with repeated practice. It will not come just like that. Some people may get it quickly, some people may get it in several decades or several births. We don't know. Depends on how well they are able to understand these thoughts and put it to practice. That is the most difficult. So can be only achieved through practice and detachment. The main aspects performing karma with the knowledge of the Jivatman's essential nature of consciousness. Jivatman who is performing is of the nature of consciousness, giving up the desire for the fruits, performing karma as the worship of the Supreme Lord, Sriman Narayana. This kind of karma does not bind one but helps us to move up in the path of liberation. And of course, devotion and faith in the Supreme Lord are essential for this. Without that, one will not perform karmas like this. So we have to understand that we are only doing the karmas and we have to do them, cannot avoid them. We cannot be without doing karma. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Even for 1 second, without karma, one cannot stay without performing karma. Jatu karmani jatu tishtati akarma krite. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Jatu tishtati akarma. That means without performing karma, even for 1 second, one cannot stay. If I say I'm not going to do any work and sit, I am doing the work of not doing anything. That is also a kind of work. But we are only doing it. And the fruits of karma will come. The secret is that though we are doing, we have to have the thought that we are not actually doing because I am different from the body. The body is making me do. Why is the body making me do? Why did I get associated with body? Because of the karmas we have done earlier with the wrong understanding, with a desire in the fruit, and we are experiencing the fruits of those karmas now. And that is why this body and sense organs and all have come as associated with me. But if I can get rid of this karma, whatever is already done in the past, we have to experience and complete it, finish it. From now on, if we perform like this, future karmas will not bind us. So that is how Karma Yoga will help us to move up. And the current state is not the natural state of the Jivatma. The bound self this is not the natural state of the Jivatma. Natural state is being in the state of pure consciousness without association with matter and experiencing the bliss of service to Sriman Narayana. That is the natural state of Jivatma. Our aim should be to attain that state where this association matter will not be there and we exist in our original state of bliss. That is the purpose. That is called liberation. So, Karma Yoga, I have summarized like this. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga, this is one slide where I have put. Krishna teaches in great detail why Karma Yoga is superior to Jnana Yoga. You perform only Karma Yoga, he tells Arjuna, because Karma Yoga is easy to practice compared to Jnana Yoga. Why is it easy to practice? Because for all the previous births, in all our previous births, we have been doing only action work. If I have to sit and meditate for a few minutes, let's say even 1 minute, it's very, very difficult. But if I have to do some work, I can do very easily. Get up and do some work means I can do very easily. Sit and meditate, if you say, my mind goes to hundreds of things. It thinks about hundreds of different things. It runs wildly here and there. And so, very difficult to concentrate even for a minute. So, that is why karma is easy to do. So, we can pick up some karma and do this way. And it leads to the result faster than Jnana Yoga. The result of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are same. In the end, Karma Yoga itself can be taken to completely till realization of the self. Or Karma Yoga, when one is performing, after some stage, a person can move to, the seeker can move to Jnana Yoga stage and then take to completion, where he realizes the self. Realization of the self is the end result of Karma Yoga, or Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga combined. Without Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga cannot be started at all because the purity of mind has to be first achieved. Karma Yoga at some stage achieves purity of mind, and then one will be able to think about the nature of the self as different from the body. That becomes more and more clarity comes in that thought. And as it becomes more and more mature, it ends in the thought of the nature of the Jivatman itself. So that is how Karma Yoga progresses. Initially, there could be more of action, less of thought of the individual self, Jivatman, who is different and distinct from the body. As it progresses, the thoughts towards the individual self becomes more and more and more. The karma is done more mechanically, and that thought of jnana of the Jivatman gets complete, becomes mature. Then that is where it attains perfection. Karma yoga ends. So this is how, by performing karma itself, we can develop jnana, which is embedded in it. Every action we have to do thinking that about the nature of the Jivatma. And Jnana Yoga has more possibilities of problems than Karma Yoga because our mind goes helter-skelter, very difficult to focus and steadily meditate. So there is every possibility that it may get broken very easily. Karma Yoga doesn't have that kind of problems. We are all used to doing karma only from beginningless time compared to Jnana Yoga, which is of the form of pure meditation. It has all the good ingredients of Jnana Yoga as well as without the knowledge of self, Karma Yoga cannot be done. So in Jnana Yoga, the knowledge of self is the main thing. So this is and there are two kinds of people, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga. People are doing loke asmin vividha nishta pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. In this shloka, it is told that not every worldly person, upon developing a desire for liberation, there are so many people in this world, and very few people may get desire to get liberated from this samsara, realizing that this cycle of birth and death will ultimately end in grief only. Whatever pleasures we are experiencing is very transient, very limited, and it's not permanent. If we realize all this, one will not want another birth. They want to end this cycle of birth and death. But there will be very few people. But among those few people also, there are very, very few who can actually start Jnana Yoga directly because it has to come from their previous births, Sukrita, that they should have got that kind of purity of mind to concentrate on the nature of the self directly. So, immediately upon developing a desire, not every worldly person immediately becomes qualified for the practice of Jnana Yoga. Rather, by performing karma without attachment to its fruits, solely as an act of worship of the Supreme Person, the impurities of the mind are destroyed. And the mind has thus become purified, and the senses have become tranquil and undisturbed. One becomes qualified for steadfastness in knowledge, jnana nishtha. Therefore, it is stated that for an ordinary worldly person, even after the desire for liberation has arisen, jnana yoga is difficult to undertake immediately. So it is recommended clearly in Bhagavad Gita in so many shlokas that karma yoga is superior to start for anybody. But for of course this adhikara has to be there for doing all this. And this shloka is famous. Brahmarpanam brahma havihi brahmagno brahmana hutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam. There are commentators have commented differently for this. A person desirous of moksha is a mumukshu, performs actions with the constant awareness that all actions belong to, is sustained by, offered to the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, such actions assumes the form of knowledge, becomes a direct means to the realization of the self, not merely an indirect means through the intermediary stage of jnana nishta. So, karma yoga can directly lead to the end result. Everything is Brahmatmaka, everything is having Parabrahman as the inner self, is the thought with which work is performed, is the essence of that. So one who has had Atma Sakshatkara, realization of the self or the Jivatman, will not confuse the body for the Atman, will not be You'll be without the idea that this is mine, etc. You would have realized that all Atmans are of similar nature of consciousness and dissociated from Prakriti. Would realize the essential nature of the Atman when detached from matter is similar to that of Paramatman also. The nature is different, same. Both are spiritual entities. Supreme Brahman is also spiritual entity. Jivatma also is spiritual entity. But that is Jnana Swarupa. But Parabrahma is all pervading. Jivatma is atomic inside. So there is a difference there. But the nature is spiritual only, Jnanatmaka, consciousness. So this can be achieved by Karma Yoga directly or Karma Yoga followed by Jnana Yoga. This is a unique understanding of Vishistadvaita system as well described and explained in the Bhagavad Gita in great detail. So I'm not going into all the so much detail. So what is Karma Yoga exactly? These are all the things which the essence of Karma Yoga as told in the Bhagavad Gita and which is also told in the Upanishads and all. Bhagavad Gita is very, very clear and very clearly and tells in such a way that one can actually perform it like that. So one important thing is that performance of some selected karma regularly every day at a designated time, which does not clash with the Nitya Naimitika karmas. Daily, ordained, and occasional obligatory duties which are there, those have to be done, performed at particular time, as told in the Shastra. So one has to choose some other karma which does not clash with the time and then perform it every day till the result comes. The selected karma may be of various services at temples, jnana yajna for study and preaching of scriptures, dravya yajna, Vedic rituals, and so many other varieties are told in Bhagavad Gita. Jnana yajna, tapo yajna, dravya yajna, and swadhyaya yajna, like that. A lot of things are told, many varieties of karmas are told, which can be picked by any one of them, whichever is appealing to the person, the seeker, who can select that. And that work has to be performed every day religiously at the specified time with all these ingredients in that karma, apart from Nitya and Naimitika karmas, daily and occasional duties. So that cannot be escaped by anybody, whether a bhakti yogi or a prapanna or a prapatti or bhakti yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga. None of these people can be without performing the Nitya and Naimitika karmas. As long as one is associated with body, the daily and obligatory and occasional obligatory duties cannot be escaped. They have to do it. This is the stance of Vishistadvaita. And apart from this, another karma has to be selected and performed every day. While doing that karma, one has to be performing daily and occasional duties applicable, performing this with the thinking of the nature of Atman, which is consciousness, and performing the selected karma without desire in fruits thereof, performing with the idea, I am not doing, this is not mine, and it is as a worship of the Supreme Lord. And then it becomes an accessory to Bhakti Yoga. It is not a direct means to liberation, Karma Yoga. It is a means to liberation through Bhakti Yoga. It is an accessory to Bhakti Yoga. So these are all the main ingredients of the Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga means this is what it means. This is how it is prescribed. So while doing our duties, also we give up agency and all those things. Our daily obligatory duties doesn't have any fruits, so we have to perform it as a worship of the Lord, giving up doership, giving up ownership and all those things. Apart from that, one additional karma has to be taken. That is the Karma Yoga part of it, which is done till the result is achieved. The perfection of the realization of the individual self is achieved. At that point, one will be firmly rooted in the thought of the individual self as a nature of consciousness, different, distinct from the body, sense organs, vitals, and everything. So whatever work he is doing in his daily routine will be more like mechanical. He will always have this thought, and he will also have a thought that I am subservient to the Lord, etc. He will realize the nature of the Jivatman that way. So for that, there are many examples we see in Vishnu Purana and all those things. There are so many Jadabharata and all these people, characters, in these stories. We can see how they were there, how they were doing actions, and it is all explained in great detail in all that. And Jnana Yoga, coming to Jnana Yoga, it is continuous thinking on the nature of the Atman without any other thought in between. That is, Nitya Naimitika Karma has to be done. Apart from that, one time slot, one selects a seeker. During that time, instead of doing the karma, which is a part of the Karma Yoga, this Jnana Yogi, what he does is, he sits and meditates for 1 hour or 2 hours continuously on the nature of the self as Jnana Swarupa, Shesha to Bhagavan, that is subservient to the Lord, and different and distinct from the body and sense organ and all that. So continuous thought without any other thought coming in between, like that he has to meditate. This can be done only such purity of the mind is achieved. Only then it is possible. It's very, very difficult to do. For that, one should have performed Karma Yoga first, reached a particular stage where this kind of thought is possible, this kind of meditation is possible. At some stage in Karma Yoga, it becomes possible. Though it becomes possible, one can continue Karma Yoga itself, performing the selected karma itself till the end. Or he can give up that karma and get into Jnana Yoga and start meditating on the individual self. Then it becomes Jnana Yoga. So Jnana means knowledge in the general sense, but in Jnana Yoga, it is a knowledge of the Jivatman as Jnana Swarupa, subservient to the Lord, different from matter and all those things. Meditating on the pure nature of the Asman is Jnana Yoga. And as per the Advaita, it is very different. So here the different schools of thought have propagated, established in a different way. Atmaikya Jnana is Jnana Yoga is ultimate in the Advaita system. So Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga come before Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga achieves purity of mind. Bhakti Yoga achieves concentration of the mind. Jnana Yoga achieves the ultimate liberation in the Advaitic system. In the Vishistadvaita system, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga lead to the realization of the self. Bhakti Yoga will lead to liberation. In Dvaita also, the same way. Bhakti Yoga only leads to liberation. So there is a difference in those things. Just mentioning as a matter of fact. So a seeker has to start with Karma Yoga in all the three philosophies. Karma Yoga is the first step. Has in itself the thinking of Atma Swarupa. Karma Yoga can itself lead one to realization, or one can reach at certain stage of Karma Yoga, resort to Jnana Yoga. One has realized one real nature of the self and sees the self in all beings. This is what towards the end of the Karma Yoga or in Jnana Yoga, towards the end when it becomes mature, one realizes that just like the individual self in me is of the nature of Jnana or consciousness, the individual self in every other body is also like that. This is called Samatva. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. In Bhagavad Gita it is told. They are all similar in nature. That person will be able to realize that every body, the individual self, is of the same nature. That is why it is told, Shunika Shaiva Shvapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Samadarshana Yoga means that is why it does not discriminate from different people or different animals or bird or whatever it is. Everywhere, the individual self inside that is of the same nature as the self in me is the kind of thinking. There are different 4 stages of maturity that are told in Gita and all that. We are not going into so much of detail here. So one also realizes that every Atman is having Paramatman as the inner self. Hence all are his mode, prakara, it is told. Finally, the fact that Atmans are subservient to the Paramatman is realized. Such a seeker moves to, when you realize that I am subservient to my Lord is Sriman Narayana, who has got such wonderful qualities, who is the creator of the world, grantor of all the fruits, and what we saw, all the nature of the Brahman, the wonderful characteristics of the Brahman. Such a person is my master. He would want to attain him and stay in the real state, which is the state of liberation. So that deep desire comes when one really realizes the nature of the individual self in its totality. That is what is achieved through Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So I'm just showing this slide again. Now we will move to Bhakti Yoga. After this Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, one gets into Bhakti Yoga. One who has realized the self, utterly subservient to the Supreme, and his true nature is to do all kinds of service to the Supreme Lord, who is having all the unlimited auspicious qualities. He is endowed with all kinds of never-ending or unparalleled auspicious qualities, and without devoid of any defects. And then he is the creator of the world, grantor of all the fruits and things like that. One will naturally get great devotion towards such a person, that attaining him is my supreme goal, because I am his servant forever. And I have my duty, my original nature, it is to do service to the Lord. So that's when one gets devotion towards Paramatma. Then one feels the urgency to attain him and meditates on the divine auspicious form, qualities of Paramatman with undiluted love. That seeker will not want any other benefit but for attaining the Supreme. And that is the only goal for that person. It's called Jnani, Bhagavad Gita. Jnani tu Atmaiva me matam. Jnani tu Paramaikanti. Tadayatta Atma Jivanaha. He is utterly dependent on the Lord. He depends, he realizes, and he wants to attain him. And such meditation should be constant, continuous, conscientious. That loving meditation with the knowledge of the self is also blissful, it is told, because the nature of the Supreme is bliss itself. Anando Brahma, Upanishad says. What is the nature of Supreme Brahman? It is Ananda only. Bliss is the nature of the Brahman. When you attain such a Brahman, you will also get ultimate bliss. So that is called Bhakti Yoga or Upasana, meditating upon the divine auspicious form of the Lord. When Paramatman is pleased with such devoted, loving meditation, he reveals himself to such a devotee. This is also another important aspect here, that one cannot say, I have been meditating on you for 1,000 years. Still, I have not got liberation. I should get liberation. No. That Lord has to be pleased with your loving meditation. So such should be the devotion, that Lord should be pleased with the devotion. Then he will grant moksha himself, liberation. So ultimately, Supreme Lord is the giver of liberation, moksha. Though Bhakti Yoga will only get his grace towards us. Bhakti Yoga and Prapatti help in getting his grace towards us. With that, the Lord, who is pleased with our Bhakti Yoga or Prapatti, gives us the ultimate benefit. So that is all established very well in Upanishads and all that. Bhagavad Gita, this is a very popular, famous shloka. Manmana bhava madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanaha. Whatever you do, the worldly functions, acts that you do for supporting the body, laukikani sharira dharanarthani, performing the worldly as well as the vaidikani cha nitya naimittikani karmani, obligatory shastriya karmas, merely to please the Lord, no other benefit. and finding joy in the only thought of utter subservience to the Lord, and with loving devotion, thinking that everything is controlled by Him, subservient to Him, and meditating on the most auspicious qualities of the Lord with deep love. Such meditation done every day would finally lead to attaining Him. So, this is the essence of Bhakti Yoga. Here, important thing is bhakti or devotion is the most important aspect. Here, manmana bhava means think of me all the time. So, if you think of the Lord without devotion, it is a waste. It will not give you any benefit. So, Bhagavad Ramananda says, Mad bhaktaha manmana bhava. With great devotion towards me, you think of me. Mad bhaktaha madhyaji bhava. With great devotion, you perform worship me. Mad bhaktaha mam namaskuru. When you do namaskara also, with great devotion, without any emotion, if you do namaskara, it is of no use. Lord will not be pleased by that. So with great devotion, love, if you do the namaskara, yaga means worship of the Lord, Bhagavad Aradhana, and thinking of the Lord, His auspicious qualities, His divine form, all that, all should be done with bhakti. Bhakti is the most essential ingredient in everything that one does at this stage. That is when in the Bhakti Yoga, that is how. With that bhakti only pleases the Lord. And when the Lord is pleased with the bhakti, when it becomes so mature that one cannot live without thinking of the Lord, without performing His worship, etc., Lord will be pleased and He will grant him the ultimate benefit. That is the Bhakti Yoga. It's a very, very difficult thing to do. And for this, adhikara has to be there. One has to have eligibility to study Vedas, study the Shastras, and one has to get this knowledge by taking refuge at the feet of a master who is already practicing it. So in today's world, very, very, very difficult, almost impossible for anybody to do this kind of a bhakti yoga. But there is also another secret. There was one of the questions asked in the previous class that bhakti yogi, his prarabdha karmas will not get destroyed when he starts bhakti yoga. The prarabdha karma means that karmas which have already started to give fruit. A part of that is our current birth. That is the current body that we have got. It's a part of the prarabdha karma. There could be many more births coming after this as a part of the karmas which has already started to give fruits. A bhakti yogi has to experience all of them. So he may have to take several births while doing bhakti yoga itself. The birth in which he starts bhakti yoga, one starts bhakti yoga, should be a birth where eligibility is there. This is a very important thing. After that, one may take several births, but bhakti yoga will continue, irrespective of whatever birth it is. In that birth, one may not have eligibility, but they will have this steady concentration of mind because previously they have started bhakti yoga in a birth where they had the eligibility. The example for this is Shabari in Srimad Ramayana, Gopis in Srimad Bhagavata, or Vidura, Mahabharata. These are all people examples. In their current birth, they did not have the eligibility to do bhakti yoga, but they were all bhakti yogis because they had started bhakti yoga in an earlier birth where they had actually had the eligibility. Because of that, they got such undiluted love towards the Lord that they didn't want anything else other than attaining the Lord, performing service to Him, all the time thinking with great love, thinking of the Lord, worshipping the Lord. That only will please such a person, nothing else. So these our bhakti yogis were like that. So this is one important aspect that when we have great emotion towards the Lord, for example, can one get liberation means if that person was a bhakti yogi earlier, it is possible. It can be having any birth in the current birth. It can be anything, anybody. But they will have continued remembrance of that Bhakti Yoga. It will continue, it will not break. Bhakti Yoga is so powerful, it will not get destroyed. Once you have started, many births may come. So Jadabharta is one example. He took the birth of a deer and then he again became a Brahmin like that. Though he took a birth of a deer, he had the memory of previous birth and then it continued the next birth and things like that we see in the Puranas. So that is also an important aspect in Bhakti Yoga. Shankaracharya also explains wonderfully the nature of bhakti here because Bhakti Yoga is very important even in Advaita system to develop concentration. Without the grace of the Lord, one cannot get the jnana. So upasane, sagunopasane is a means to nirguna jnana. In Advaita system also, he explains, Mai Vasudeve manaha yasya saha tvam manmanaha bhava. One who has his mind fixed in me, be devoted to me, worship me, do namaskara to me only. Your mind will attain equipoise and you will attain me only. I am only the self of all beings, ultimate goal, ultimate means. Such me you will attain if you are totally. This is the explanation in Shankara Bhashya, Advaita also, because this is also a means to the next stage of Jnana Yoga in the Advaita system. In Vishistadvaita, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate means. Jnana Yoga is an accessory to Bhakti Yoga. So there is a big difference there. And just showing because how Shankaracharya also has commented for this shloka that importance to devotion is also important for everyone. It's extremely necessary just to stress that point. So devotee who is following Bhakti Yoga will give up the idea of ownership and attachment in all other activities, realizes that the instrument in the hands of the Lord, very sure that Vasudeva, the Supreme Self, is getting all this done, enjoys bliss in every service done lovingly to the Lord. The very meditation, the process of meditation itself is most joyful because the Supreme Lord's form is such wonderful and his qualities are such wonderful as explained in the Shastras. One starts to think about that. That itself is very joyful. So the process of meditation itself is most blissful. That is why those people who have the capability to meditate like this for many births if required, they choose Bhakti Yoga because they want to enjoy the meditation, the bliss of meditation on such wonderful Lord's form and characteristics, his qualities for a long time. They don't mind taking many births because they have the capability to meditate for many births like that and the knowledge required and the eligibility, all that. So they choose Bhakti Yoga. But today, there may not be anybody, there may be somebody, we don't know. But it's very, very, very difficult for anybody to do Bhakti Yoga today. In the previous yugas, people had the capability to do Bhakti Yoga. Kali Yuga, our faculties have become very weak. We are not able to concentrate, we are not able to think, we don't have long life, we don't have that kind of knowledge, all that. So it's almost impossible to do Bhakti Yoga. But this is one of the means prescribed in the Shastra for liberation. And such a seeker sees Paramatman in every entity, will act favorably to all. And his love towards Vasudeva flows in different ways, such as worshipping, praying, singing, all those things. You will not have any sense of the body, etc. You will always be worshipping and not mindful of what others are thinking or etc. He is immersed in the thought of the Lord. And such a devotee melts thinking about the wonderful qualities of the Lord. Remembering the names of the Supreme Lord, he experiences horripilation. Every name indicates a quality of the Lord. The Sahasranama, for example, Vishnu Sahasranama, it is told in the end, Yani Namani Gaunani Vikhyatani Mahatmanaha. Every Nama is a guna. It explains, it talks about a quality of the Lord and also the acts done by him. The wonderful acts that he did during his incarnations and all that, they are all extolled in the various names of the Lord. Sahasranama, etc. So reciting the name itself, remembering the name itself is joyful. He offers himself completely at the service of the Lord. Realize the entire world is subservient. For such bhakti to be steady and for it to grow, knowledge of the nature of self and Paramatman are the necessary ingredients. Before that, one should have a thorough, perfect knowledge of Jivatman and Paramatman and the relation between us and Paramatman. That is why Krishna is telling a lot of things about himself. Vibhuti Yoga, if you see Vibhuti and Yoga, he says, Vistarena Atmano Yogam Vibhutincha Janardana. Bhaktumarhasi Asheshena. He says, you tell me all your Vibhuti and Yoga, that means all your glories and all how you control everything by mere willing and your auspicious qualities. Krishna talks about himself. Why is he praising himself about his own qualities? Means in order to increase the devotion in Arjuna. The listener of such qualities, when we meditate on those qualities and the glories of the Lord, we naturally get devotion and it keeps increasing. The more and more you listen to that. That is the reason Krishna is teaching, is what Bhagavad Ramanuja explains in the commentary. So it is a very highly secret knowledge. Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, Pavitram Midam Uttamam, Pratyakshaavagamam, Dharmyam, Susukham, Kartumavyayam. This is how Bhakti Yoga is explained in Bhagavad Gita. The king among the Vidyas, because it will lead to moksha, is utmost secret. It brings about purity, most celebrated. Means it is a means to directly perceive the Brahman, Pratyaksha Avagamam. You can perceive the Lord directly by this means. During the time of meditation itself, if the seeker experiences the Supreme Lord, most pleasing and blissful to do. Eternal, because even after liberation it continues. Devotion is always there. It has to be there. Though Bhakti Yoga is said to be the means to liberation, it is the grace of the Lord ultimately which will grant us the ultimate goal. So the ultimate means is the Lord himself. But Lord will not give liberation to everyone without the performance of some means. So for that Bhakti Yoga and Prapatti are prescribed. When Paramatman is pleased with this such undiluted love of the devotee, he reveals himself to him, so declare the Upanishads. Yameva esha vrunate tena labhyaha tasyesha atma vivrunate tanum swam. Kathopanishad says wonderfully, by mere study of the scriptures, by mere meditation or thinking, by mere meditation, you cannot reach the Lord, it says. But that is the means prescribed, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Says, without devotion, if you do all this, it is all a waste. Mere in the sense, Kevala Shravana is useless. But if you do Shravana with Bhakti, then it will be purposeful. So Bhakti is the most important ingredient. That is required for everyone. Even in Prapatti, Bhakti has to be there. Without Bhakti, why will somebody do Prapatti to be under the feet of the Lord? So, in general, it is generally accepted there are certain aspects related to this that generally all the schools of thought say Jnanat Moksha. Jnana only is the means to moksha. Jnana is moksha. It is accepted here also. But what kind of jnana is important? Not mere knowledge of the sentences of the Upanishads. It is meditative knowledge. Meditative knowledge. You have to understand the scriptures, the meaning of the scriptures, and meditate upon the nature of the Lord as taught in those sentences of the Upanishads. They teach wonderfully. Simply, if you read and understand the meaning, you will not get liberation. You have to meditate on the Lord and get His grace to attain Him. And how do I meditate on the Lord? Meditate on the supreme form of the Lord, divine auspicious form, His qualities as told in the Upanishads. With great devotion, love, then He will be pleased and grant you the liberation. So, That is how mere knowledge will not lead. Mere scriptural knowledge cannot lead to direct perception of of Brahman. It is only the loving meditative knowledge that can lead to liberation. So here also knowledge, the bhakti is a kind of knowledge only. Love or preeti towards somebody is also a kind of knowledge. It is not possible to explain the nature of bhakti as it can only be by experience. Even karma yoga, jnana yoga need bhakti, which is love towards the Supreme. Mahaniya vishaye pritihi bhaktihi itya vidhiyate. Narada Bhakti Sutra says. And in order for a seeker to perfect bhakti, there are some preparations needed. These are very important aspects. The sadhana saptakas. Shankaracharya tells sadhana chatushtaya, 4 sadhanas. Ramanujacharya establishes sadhana saptaka based on his earlier acharya's works, which is explained. There was a acharya called Brahmanandi who has written a commentary on Chandogya Upanishads. And based on that, Bhagavad Ramanuja explains there are 7 sadhanas, that is means required for performing Bhakti Yoga itself. One has to inculcate these qualities. These are all the means to attaining purity of mind and concentration and all that which are essential for Bhakti Yoga. One should have these qualities, practice, inculcate and practice these things. There are 7 aspects which are told. And there are some more things about Bhakti Yoga. And after that, we will look at Prapatti as a means. Once we have almost come to an end, another couple of minutes, we will take up a study of this in the next class. With that, I offer my pranams and conclude today's session. Thank you. I will now leave the class open for any questions. We can unmute and ask the question. Please, yeah.
Dear Swami,
Tell me.
can Bhakti Yoga be independent means? Right now there is a ladder that you mentioned, starting from Karma Yoga, then leading to Jnana, and then from Jnana of the Atma Swarupa, we proceed forward to next stage Bhakti Yoga. But I think I somewhere heard in Sri Vaishnavism that it is also considered that Bhakti Yoga can be independent means. Uh,
He is an independent means, but it has accessories of Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are not independent means. They only are accessories to Bhakti Yoga. Without Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, one cannot do Bhakti Yoga. Some people may do at a very young age itself, they may get such bhakti. They have not done, we have not seen them doing Karma Yoga. How can this happen? Means in the previous birth they should have done. Otherwise, it is impossible to get that kind of devotion. Without Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, either in this birth or previous birth, Bhakti Yoga cannot be started. Get such kind of concentrated thought on the Lord and with that knowledge and all that, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga has to be done. Bhakti Yoga is told as an independent means, no doubt about it. Because it is the direct means to get the grace of the Lord, to get liberation. Karma Yoga is not a direct means, but through Bhakti Yoga, it is a means. Karma Yoga is an accessory to Bhakti Yoga. Without knowing our nature, we cannot know Bhagavan's, Paramatman's nature. In order to do Bhakti Yoga, we should know who we are. Our nature has to be realized. Then only one will start doing Bhakti Yoga. If I don't know who I am, why will I want to attain Paramatman? I should know who I am. What is my relation to Paramatman? Then only I will be interested in attaining Paramatman. So that first part is a necessary part for Bhakti Yoga.
so here, uh, So knowing the self is essential prerequisite for starting Bhakti Yoga. So the knowing the self is does it indicate the same Sthita Prajna Lakshana as mentioned in
Yes,
Bhagavad
very
Gita?
much, very much, very much. Exactly.
So
Namaskaram.
actually,
I have one more clarification in the same regarding the same issue. So you
Hmm.
said, yeah, Bhakti, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga are prerequisites for Bhakti Yoga. But is
Yes.
it also a prerequisite that one has to go through Atma Sakshatkaram before going to Paramatma Sakshatkaram, or can we just go having some knowledge of the self directly to Paramatma Sakshatkaram without going through Atma Sakshatkaram?
Not
Jivatma.
possible. Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga will lead to Atma Sakshatkara. Only then one can go to Paramatma Sakshatkara. Without Atma Sakshatkara, one cannot go to Paramatma Sakshatkara. That is
So that
exactly what I said. If I don't know who I am, how am I
means.
going to attain the Lord? When I don't know myself, I have to know my nature completely. I have to realize who I am perfectly, that I am subservient to the Lord, that has to be internalized, realized. Every moment I have to live with that thought. Atma Sakshatkara means it is not just scriptural knowledge. One has to realize it at every moment of the day.
So is
That is
that mean, does it mean that Kaivalya is a one step before? I mean, one has to go through Kaivalyam to go to Moksham?
Kaivalya is another thing, different thing.
Oh,
When you
okay.
attain yourself, the individual self, one attains Atma Sakshatkara. One wants to stay in that stage itself and experience the Atman itself for a long time. That is called Kaivalya, without the Lord. He will want Lord to be the means. Paramatman is the means to attaining Jivatma Sakshatkara. That means I want to experience myself, but with the grace of the Lord. He is Kaivalya. I want to experience the Lord Himself with the grace of the Lord is Bhakti Yoga. So Kaivalya, the result is only Jivatma Anubhava, the experience of the self only. He will be meditating upon his own nature as jnana and he will stay there for a long time. That is Kaivalya. That is not moksha. That is not liberation.
So Atma Sakshakaram and Kaivalya are different.
Their Atma Sakshatkara is necessary for Kaivalya also. After Atma Sakshatkara, one can go into just attain by experiencing self itself or go into experiencing the Lord.
Okay.
Atma Sakshatkara is common to Kaivalya and Moksha both. For Kaivalya also Atma Sakshatkara is necessary and then he will continue enjoying himself, his own nature in Kaivalya.
Okay, then yes.
Yeah. And there are some questions asked here toward the, can we get human bodies and continue same bhakti in the next birth also? Yes, definitely. In Gita it is told for Karma Yoga, Swalpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you start little bit Karma Yoga and you break in between for some reason, gets broken, it will not leave you because it will create an impression on your knowledge, mind that it will continue. It will again, you will again come back to that because it is so powerful. Performing Karma Yoga, it is not a joke. It's very, very, very difficult with that thoughts and all that. And when you do such Karma Yoga, even for one day, if you do and break it, after some time again you will be tempted to do that. It will bring you back to that. It will not go waste anytime. And Karma Yoga itself has that power. Bhakti Yoga, you cannot tell at all. There is no question. Bhakti Yoga, I will definitely make one continue once one is doing Bhakti Yoga. And when the Bhakti Yoga may not come to perfection in one birth, it may take many births to perfect it. So they will not forget Bhakti Yoga or forget Paramatman in future births when they have started Bhakti Yoga and this they die, for example, take a different birth. Bhakti Yoga continues, even other births. That is the power of Bhakti Yoga.
Prapatti also leads to Bhakti Yoga ultimately, this loving, continuous meditation, the mood of
No, no.
unabsorbed.
Prapatti is an independent means. parallel to Bhakti Yoga. So you can choose one of them, either Bhakti Yoga or Prapatti, to perform. Those who have the eligibility to study Shastra and all can do Bhakti Yoga, or they can also do Prapatti. Those who don't have the eligibility, for them Prapatti is the only means available for liberation. That is not of the nature of meditation and all. It's a very different means. So I will come to that later. Yeah. So if there are no other questions, I will conclude today's from Sri Krishna.